How about it for our good friend Al, ladies and gentlemen?
In his first feature film since 2015's Fantastic Four, director Josh Trank documents the sad, slow decline of a once mighty king in Capone. Anyone expecting this to be a Tommy Guns blazing crime epic may be stunned to find a methodically paced character study that owes more to a David Cronenberg film than The Untouchables. While the movie acknowledges the existence of that larger-than-life crime boss, this is about what happens to Al Capone long after his Prohibition glory days and subsequent incarceration, as the neurosyphilis he's long had finally ravages him beyond any hope of recovery. This is not an Al Capone we've ever seen on screen before, but it's one that true crime aficionados have been curious to see explored in a drama. For mob buffs and those who enjoy character studies, Capone offers an intimate, sometimes challenging look at one of America's most notorious figures. But the film's own narrow focus could turn off those general viewers who might normally check out a movie about the original Scarface. Instead, Capone repeatedly shows Al, or Fonzo as he's called throughout because his wife refuses to say Al in their home anymore, in an eroding mental and physical state, whether it's hallucinating seeing figures from his past or losing bladder control. But the film doesn't necessarily offer much new information, with each sad spectacle of seeing the king of the underworld brought so low, and the plot itself is fairly thin. Set almost entirely within the confines of his Florida compound during the last year of his life, Capone sees Fonzo struggling to recall where he hid $10 million in ill-gotten gains somewhere on his estate, while figures from his literal and figurative past revisit him. Fonzo wants to know where the loot is, as do his family members, who will be left with nothing once he dies. But the lost loot is just a MacGuffin, as the focus of the movie really is on watching a sick man grow increasingly sicker, while those around him do what they can to either help or exploit him. This is where things get tricky for the movie, though, as Capone is at its best when we're lost in Al's reveries with him, hobbling along through the dark, unsure what's real and what isn't. But the movie can also confuse the viewer by cutting back and forth between Al's reality and the movie's reality. It's a fine line to walk between artsy obfuscation and unnecessary plot convolutions, and Capone doesn't always strike the right balance. As Capone, Tom Hardy gives one of his most actor-y performances, one that ranges from scenery chewing to incredibly nuanced, sometimes within the same scene. His Fonzo is pitiable, but there are flashes of the dangerous brute who once ruled Chicago like a king. The point of the movie, and Hardy's highly physical performance, is to show how far the mighty have fallen. It's far from subtle and will likely prove divisive to viewers, but he's the most magnetic element in the film. Josh Trank's somber, small-scale drama is not the guns-blazing Al Capone biopic some gangster movie fans might be expecting, but it's a curiosity that nevertheless demands a look-see for a fresh take on a crime legend whose most notorious exploits have been retold many times over. Capone seems destined to become a cult film, as it's part character study and part body psychological horror tale, and features a Tom Hardy performance that's clearly acting with a capital A. While the movie doesn't always successfully navigate the elements that are real versus imagined, Capone is gutsy enough to tackle an off-film subject with a decidedly fresh and humanizing take. For more reviews, check out what we thought of Justice League, Dark, Apocalypse War, and Bloodshot. And as always, be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you like to watch IGN.